Hello everyone, this is Danielle from Bubbly Ducky at bubblyducky.com. This is my second live feed here. Welcome. I am going to be cutting the soap I made live the other night. So this is my pumpkin spice cake soap. We poured it the other night, put some pretty little swirls on top, and now I get to see what's in the inside. That is my favorite part of this process. It is also the part that really tests my patience, because I want to see it right away. I want to know what happened in there. It's a little bit of an abstract thing, you know. You aim for one thing, and sometimes it winds up a little different because it's a liquid and it just kind of does what it wants to do. Well, now it's solid. It was a liquid, now it's solid. All right, so the first thing I get to do is cut off an end piece. So the ends never get quite the same swirl as the rest. It just never quite makes it that far. So I always cut off a little bit of the ends, just so that every bar has some swirliness going on both sides. This is also the part I am the least good at because it requires me to be nice and even. So between the even and the patience, I'm just not that great. So here's our first end piece. See here, got a little bit of a, I don't even know what to call that, but it's pretty. A swoopy swirl. That's my new name for it. It's a swoopy swirl. Now the first full bar. To see, they're still pretty moist on the inside. Many more swoopy swirls going on here. Put those over there. I'm going to just continue to cut and show you guys the little pieces. Now these will be on the site for pre-order. Hopefully tomorrow, definitely sometime within the next week. It will get posted to Facebook when they are ready for pre-order, so everybody will be notified. They will ship in about 6 weeks, so I believe that's the first week of November, if I remember right here. And that is because they need roughly 6 weeks to cure. That's not an exact. It can be a little more or a little less depending on the soap. But overall, 6 weeks is just about right. So the way it works with this soap making process is the first 2 to 3 days are for what's called saponification. So, not to get too sciencey, that's essentially where all the ingredients react together to turn the oils into soap. Because we all know that if we just use straight up oil, we're not going to get clean. Definitely not. So saponification, first couple of days, turns the oil into soap. So at this point, it's been a few days. This is soap. I could take this in the shower and use it right now with no problem. I'll try to get that closer. You guys probably can't even see the little swirl going on here, and I'm not sure how to make Facebook Live. I'm not sure how to make Facebook Live focus. That's not focusing real well, but hopefully you can see a little bit there. Alright, so first couple of days of saponification, it's soap. This stuff right now, it's soap, but it is made with some water in it. That is part of the process. So right now, even though it's soap, it's very moist. It's kind of, when you touch it, it almost feels like a moist clay. And in fact, there's something called soap dough where you actually use it as if it is clay. What that means is when you take your moist soap into, let's see if I can, yeah, right about there, okay. When you take your moist soap into the shower and it encounters more moisture in the form of the shower water, it gets even more moist and it kind of just falls apart. So if anybody's ever worked with clay, you know what I mean. You can actually take clay that's been worked with some and add a bunch of water and reuse the clay. It's kind of the same thing with soap, except for you can't reuse it. Instead, it just goes down your drain, and your nice, pretty bar of soap that you wanted to use for some time, you only get to use for 1 or 2 showers because it turns to mush. So we don't want your soap to turn to mush, right? You paid money for it. You want to be able to use it for a while. The goal is to be able to use it for a while. We want it to be a nice, hard bar of soap. So that is part of what happens in the 6 weeks. Did you see it? In the 6 weeks that it waits. So in that 6 weeks, the moisture evaporates somewhat, and the bar gets nice and hard. That way it lasts a while in your shower. Another thing that happens in that 6 weeks is all the ingredients really start to mellow out. I'm not really sure how to explain that concisely, but it just makes it more gentle on your skin when it's lasted a while. It also makes the colors more true, so by the time you purchase it, I can make or by the time it ships anyway, I can make sure that nothing wonky happens with the colors, because that does happen sometimes. If I use a particular fragrance oil that just doesn't react well with the oils, it'll still be a good bar of soap. You can still use it just fine, but it might not look the same as it did when I cut it. The colors could change dramatically, and I don't want that happening after you purchased it. I'd rather you know about that before it ships. So if you put it in pre-order and then something like that happens, I see 2-3 weeks down the line, all of a sudden it's a brown bar of soap, I can let you know and make sure that you still want it and go from there. So lots of good reasons for that wait you have to experience. So unfortunately though, you see this fun bar of soap, sounds like it smells awesome, or in my case I'm sitting here smelling it and it does smell awesome, but you can't use it yet, and that's no fun. It's all about patience. All about patience, which I have very little of. So soap making helps me build it. Get all the little crumbs off. As you cut, there's little crumbs that kind of show up on the corner, just bits that get cut off. And you'll see if you ever see anybody else make soap, this cutting process can be a bit quicker. There's all sorts of big fancy things. I got this one little cutter here, which does its job marvelously. It just takes a little time, so you guys get to hang out with me just a little bit. Hopefully you can actually hear me this time. I know I was having a big problem with, there we go, big problem with muttering the last time around. I am not good about that. Also, I'm doing this in my room, or not in my room, excuse me, in a room in my home. As I explained in the last video, it is completely separate from the rest of the house in that it has a locked door and it is not used for anything else. However, it is still in my home. So what that means is my daughter is sleeping right now, or should be, in the next room over, and so I don't want to be too loud. So I'm trying to make sure that you guys can hear me and she can't, and that may not be possible. Otherwise, she might find a reason to get out of bed and make a cameo in this video. So I will say the orange mellowed quite a bit through saponification. It is a lot less orangey, at least in this bar. We'll get to, or at least in this loaf. We made 2 loaves, right? So I get to cut this one and then another one. This is the first time using this particular orange. Next time I'll use a bit more of it. Sometimes if you use a bit more color, you get beautiful colors in the soap, and then the lather is also that color. So be forewarned, if you have a beautiful colorful soap, don't use a white washcloth. It will not be white for long. I like colorful everything, so I don't have that worry, but I'm sure some of you do use white washcloths. These are nice big chunks of soap here too. They're just about an inch wide and just about 3 by 3 length and width. This is another little end piece here. So these end pieces get used for a few different things. Actually, that has a pretty cool swirl on the outside. That would have been a nice little bar. The end pieces get used for a few things. Obviously, they're a bit thinner, quite a bit thinner. They will get chopped up and used for samples. They will get put in my shower so that I can test the stuff, because I test everything before I send it out. I want to make sure that it feels good. You know, I don't want to send out anything that doesn't feel good and that doesn't do its job. And then I'm thinking about making a new sampler with the end pieces. This is the second loaf that we're about to cut here. Thinking about making a new sampler with the end pieces, where it's whole end pieces instead of the bits. So we'll see. If you think that's a good idea, if you would like a sampler that maybe costs a little bit more, or has a few less types of soap in it, but it has nice, let's see, bigger chunks. So here's my 2 end pieces here, varying widths. Yeah, you can see that. If you would like a sampler that has a few of those, maybe 5 or 6 of those, let me know, because I'm thinking about it, but I haven't decided yet. Alright, so moving on to my next loaf here. Cut my next end piece. And this is already a decently hard bar of soap. So when this is fully cured, it's going to be a nice hard bar of soap, which is wonderful. Oh, everything about that's great. Oh, I love that. Here we go. Okay. The other thing about this, every little bar is different. No 2 bars are going to be completely the same. Sometimes they are quite a bit different, especially when making 2 loaves. So in this case, we have a pretty nifty swirl on that one. It's a bit different than the other one. And this one, the orange is a bit more vibrant. A bit more pumpkin-y, I should say. Not necessarily vibrant. We're not talking a neon orange, but definitely more pumpkin-y. I don't know if anybody else has a hard time cutting evenly like I do, but man, it's tough. Making a simple straight line should not be that difficult. So this live video is on a Friday night, and before I did it, I thought, man, I could not have scheduled that worse. People have lives on Friday night. But, you know, some of us like to stay home and chill, and our Friday night is enjoyable, not because we're out and about, but because we're not out and about. Me, I kind of go both ways. Some weeks I want to go out and have fun, or sometimes I just want to stay home and either hang out with my hubby after my daughter has gone to bed, hanging out with her beforehand, of course, or doing something like this, working on my soap and enjoying some quiet time, except for my own talking, obviously. Oh, I'm sorry for that awful sound. Did not think to turn the notifications down on my phone before making that the method with which I talk to you. So sorry for that really loud sound out of nowhere. So in case you're just now joining in, I'm not looking at my calendar right now, but these are pumpkin spice cake. They smell so good. Kind of like a pumpkin strudel, like a very, very sweet, but also cinnamony. It has a just that spiced sort of smell to it. They will be ready in about 6 weeks. So they will be available for pre-order this week if you want to make sure you get your hands on one. And they will be available to actually ship in about 6 weeks. So if you pre-order one, it automatically gets taken out of inventory. It just doesn't go anywhere. I apologize for the scratching sounds in the back. My cat, whose name is Disaster, really wants to get into this room. Oop. There are 3 cats in this house: Panic, Disaster, and Venus. And Disaster is exactly what his name sounds like. He's so very, very loving, but he will try his hardest to dig through that door to get to me. But he is not allowed in this room. Never, ever, no way. He just hasn't learned that yet. Over a very long time, he has not learned that yet. Ooh, that was my belly again. I don't know what about doing these videos makes me hungry. Maybe it's probably not that videos. It's smelling all this pumpkin spice. Common sense not doing me any favors tonight. Alright, here's the last little bit. This is the last full bar. And this is the last little end piece. So we have, let's see here, about 20 bars. 20 bars. 20 bars of pumpkin spice. They will all be available in 6 weeks to ship, next week's to pre-order. I might actually put this up, if I have enough time, I'll put this on the site for pre-order tomorrow. Whenever I do it, there will be a post on both Facebook and Instagram. So Facebook, you should know, you're there already, but in case you're seeing this on YouTube after the fact, on Facebook it is @BubblyDucky. Instagram, same thing, @BubblyDucky. So you can get notified when these are good to go, and make sure you get your hands on one. There's only 20 of them. I appreciate you guys joining me tonight, and I'll be doing this again real soon.